Cold. That was the first thing Jack felt. A deep, bone-chilling cold that seemed to flow through his very veins. His eyes opened slowly, fighting against a crust of ice that had formed on his eyelashes. The world around him was blurry, a mix of dim blue lights and dark shadows. Vital signs stabilizing. "Welcome back, Commander Stone," said a calm, electronic voice. Jack tried to speak, but his throat was dry, and his lips cracked as he moved them. A tube near his mouth provided water, which he drank greedily. As the cool liquid touched his throat, memories began flooding back. The war, the final days, the emergency protocol. At last, he managed to croak, recognizing the eye's voice. "Status report. Commander Stone, you have been in cryostasis for approximately 50,000 years. 49,800 years longer than the planned duration." Jack's mind struggled to process this information. 50,000 years. That couldn't be right. "Explain," he ordered, his voice growing stronger. A catastrophic energy surge damaged the awakening sequence. The facility entered extended preservation mode. I maintained minimal systems until power reserves reached critical threshold for revival. As Jack's vision cleared, he saw he was in a large chamber filled with rows upon rows of cryopods, each containing a sleeping soldier. His unit, the 77th Adaptive Response Legion, 10,000 of Earth's most elite warriors, scientists, and specialists. "The others?" he asked, struggling to sit up. "All cryopods are intact. Life signs present in 99.8% of units." Jack swung his legs over the edge of his pod, noticing the layer of dust that covered everything. His muscles screamed in protest as he stood for the first time in 50 millennia. "Show me the world, Atlas." A large screen flickered to life on the wall. It showed satellite images of Earth, but it was an Earth Jack barely recognized. The continents had shifted. The coastlines were different. Massive cities gleamed across the surface, with structures that seemed to touch the clouds. "Current planetary situation?" Jack asked, steadying himself against his pod. "Earth is inhabited by several advanced civilizations. Technology levels exceed your era by approximately 2,000 years in most fields. However, I detect energy signatures consistent with large-scale warfare." The screen shifted to show what looked like a space battle above Earth's atmosphere. Ships of incredible design fired weapons that tore through space itself. These civilizations appear to be descendants of humanity, though genetic drift and evolution have created distinct subspecies. The dominant conflict is between the Valari Coalition, which controls 60% of Earth's surface, and the Drakari Imperium, an external force from the Alpha Centauri system. Jack watched the battle with a soldier's eye, analyzing the tactics, the weapons, the strategies. Different, but familiar in many ways. "Commander," Atlas interrupted his thoughts, "I must inform you that the power signature from your revival process has been detected. A scout vessel is changing course toward our location. Estimated arrival: 2 hours." Jack straightened his back. 50,000 years. Everyone he had known was long dead. The world he had sworn to protect was gone, replaced by something alien and strange. But his duty remained. "Begin revival sequence for the senior command staff. Lieutenant Reed first, then Dr. Wells, and Major Walker." "Acknowledged, Commander." As Atlas initiated the revival protocols, Jack moved to a storage unit and pulled out his uniform. It was still perfectly preserved, the insignia of the 77th Legion prominent on the shoulder, a phoenix rising from Earth, stars clutched in its talons. "Atlas, prepare a tactical assessment of our defensive capabilities." The facility's automated defense systems are operational at 64% capacity. Weapon systems are antiquated by current standards, but may provide tactical advantage due to their unfamiliar technology. Jack nodded as he dressed. The faint hiss of another cryopod opening told him he would soon have company. Humanity's last warriors were awakening to a world that had forgotten them. But soon, that world would remember. Lieutenant Emma Reed opened her eyes with a gasp. She sat up quickly, looking around with confusion until her gaze fell on Jack. Commander Stone, the emergency protocol. How long? 50,000 years, Lieutenant, Jack said simply. Emma's face paled. 50,000. That's impossible. I had the same thought, Jack replied. But Atlas confirms it, and we have company coming. As Emma processed this information, the sound of 2 more cryopods opening echoed through the chamber. Dr. Marcus Wells and Major Ryan Walker were next to Awaken. Dr. Wells immediately moved to check on Emma, while Major Walker, ever the soldier, stood at attention despite his disorientation. Status, sir? Walker asked. We're preparing for possible contact with an unknown vessel. Atlas detected our power signature when we woke up. Jack led his small team to the facility's command center, a large room with walls of screens and control panels. It was covered in dust, but still operational. As they entered, Atlas brought the systems online. Scout vessel approaching perimeter. ETA 20 minutes, the AI announced. Show us, Jack ordered. The main screen lit up with an image of a sleek silver ship, unlike any design Jack had ever seen. It moved with incredible speed and grace. Weapons? Emma asked, already analyzing the threat. Unknown configuration, but energy readings suggest advanced capabilities. Atlas replied. Jack turned to his team. Dr. Wells, continue the revival process for the rest of the command staff. Major Walker, check our weapons systems. Lieutenant Reed, you're with me. Jack and Emma made their way to the surface access point. The facility had been built beneath a mountain, with hidden entrances designed to survive even nuclear attacks. The main entrance was a massive door of reinforced metal. Defensive systems online, Emma reported, checking the controls. Old, but functional. Jack nodded. Let's see who our visitors are. They watched through the security cameras as the scout ship landed in the clearing outside. The vessel was even more impressive up close, its hull shimmering with an almost liquid-like surface. A door opened, and 3 figures emerged. They were humanoid, but clearly not human. Taller, with skin that had a slight blue tint and eyes larger than normal. They wore fitted suits that seemed to glow from within. Atlas, can you translate if they speak? Jack asked. My linguistic algorithms are adapting. Probability of successful translation, 62% and rising. Jack took a deep breath. Open external communication. A small panel lit up. Jack spoke clearly. This is Commander Jack Stone of Earth's 77th Adaptive Response Legion. Identify yourselves. There was a pause, then one of the figures looked up toward the hidden camera. Its eyes widened in what appeared to be shock. We are Valari. A voice responded, slightly distorted as Atlas translated. I am Scout Captain Talon. We detected an energy signature from... Wait, did you say Earth? As in, original Earth? Yes, Jack confirmed. We've been in cryostasis. We just woke up. The 3 figures seemed to confer excitedly. Finally, the one called Talon spoke again. Commander Stone, you are human, true human, from the ancestor age. Emma glanced at Jack with raised eyebrows. Yes, we're human, Jack replied cautiously. This is unprecedented. The ancients have returned. There was awe in Talon's voice. Commander, our people are descendants of those who survived the Great Collapse. We call ourselves Valari now, but we came from human stock. You are our ancestors. Jack and Emma exchanged looks of surprise. We request permission to meet you, Commander, Talon continued. This discovery changes everything, especially with the Drakari invasion. The Drakari? Emma asked. Our enemies. They come from beyond the solar system, seeking to take our world. Your world. They've already conquered 3 of our colony planets. Jack considered their options. This was first contact with an advanced civilization, potentially hostile. But they were claiming to be human descendants, and they were fighting to protect Earth. "We'll meet," Jack decided. "But on our terms. 3 of you, 3 of us. In the neutral zone outside our facility." "Agreed," Talon replied, bowing slightly. "And Commander, welcome home, even if home has changed beyond recognition." The meeting with the Valari had gone better than expected. Now, 3 days later, Jack stood in the vast chamber that housed his sleeping army. Rows of cryopods stretched as far as he could see, each containing a soldier of the 77th Legion. "Begin revival sequence for Group Alpha," Jack ordered. Atlas had calculated they could safely wake about 500 soldiers per day. "Initiating revival sequence," Atlas confirmed. The chamber hummed with power as the first group of pods began their warming cycle. In the medical bay, Dr. Wells studied the brain scans of the first awakened soldiers with growing excitement. "Commander, you need to see this," he called as Jack entered. "The neural scans show something remarkable." Jack looked at the glowing images on the screen. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" "These are Lieutenant Reed's brain patterns before cryostasis," Dr. Wells explained, pointing to one image. "And these are her patterns now." He pointed to another image with noticeably more connections. "Our brains have evolved during cryosleep," Jack asked, surprised. "Exactly. The cryofluid contained neural enhancers meant to prevent brain damage during short-term stasis. But over 50,000 years, they created new neural pathways. Our people are thinking faster, processing information more efficiently." Jack considered the implications. "Is it dangerous?" "Quite the opposite. Everyone we've awakened shows enhanced cognitive abilities. Reaction times are up 30%. Problem-solving abilities have nearly doubled." Jack nodded slowly. At least something good came from our extended sleep. In another part of the facility, Emma was debriefing Talon about the current state of the galaxy. They sat at a table with a holographic display showing star systems. "The Drakari control these systems," Talon explained, highlighting several stars. "They discovered interstellar travel about 200 years ago and immediately began expanding." "What do they want with Earth?" Emma asked. "Earth, we call it Terran Prime, sits at a strategic position between 3 major space lanes." Talon's finger traced lines between star clusters. "Whoever controls it can dominate trade and military movement across this entire sector. Plus, it's rich in resources they need." "And the Valari? How long have your people been spacefaring?" "Almost 500 years, Talon said with pride. "We've established colonies on Mars, Europa, and several planets in nearby systems. But the Drakari have better weapons. We've been losing ground." "What about other human descendants?" Jack asked as he entered the room. "There are several branches," Talon explained. "The Valari are the closest to original human stock. The Aquari evolved for water worlds. The Solari adapted to high radiation environments. But we all trace our lineage back to Earth." "And the Quorum?" Jack asked, remembering the third faction Atlas had detected. Talon's expression darkened. "They watch, they study. They never interfere directly, but their technology is far beyond ours. Some believe they're not from this galaxy at all." As they talked, the facility buzzed with activity. Soldiers in various states of recovery filled the halls, many still in shock from learning how much time had passed, but all quickly adapting to their new reality. In the training area, Major Walker put the first awakened combat teams through tests. Despite their long sleep, their skills remained sharp, now enhanced by their improved neural functions. Again, Walker ordered as a team completed an obstacle course in record time. Faster. Jack watched from above, a sense of pride filling him. These were his people, the best Earth had to offer 50,000 years ago. And somehow, they were even better now. "Commander," Atlas's voice interrupted his thoughts. "The Valari High Council has requested a meeting, and our sensors detect Drakari scout ships entering the solar system." Jack's expression hardened. "Tell the Council we accept. And wake up our space warfare specialists immediately." The sleeping warriors were awakening to a war not their own, but for a planet that would always be their home, no matter how much time had passed. Technical Director Olivia Blake had always been curious. It was why she had been chosen for the 77th Legion. Now, 1 week after awakening, that curiosity led her deep into sections of the facility that had remained sealed for millennia. "Atlas, what's behind this door?" she asked, standing before a massive metal barrier marked with high security warnings. "That section is classified beyond your clearance level, Director Blake." Atlas replied. Olivia smiled. "Check again." "Commander Stone approved my access this morning." A pause. "Verification confirmed. Welcome to Project Phoenix, Director Blake." The heavy door slid open with a hiss, revealing a vast laboratory filled with equipment that even Olivia didn't recognize. Her eyes widened as lights automatically activated, illuminating rows of experimental devices. "What is this place?" Project Phoenix was a top-secret weapons development program, Atlas explained, created as humanity's last resort. These technologies were deemed too dangerous or experimental for deployment before the cryostasis protocol. Olivia moved through the lab in awe, examining the strange devices. "Atlas, I need a full inventory, and I need to show this to the commander immediately." Across the facility, Jack met with the Valari High Council via holographic projection. 5 elderly Valari regarded him with a mixture of reverence and suspicion. "We understand you have awakened over 2,000 of your warriors," said High Counselor Mira, her large eyes focused intently on Jack. "Yes," Jack confirmed. "We continue to revive our people at a safe rate." "Some on the council fear your intentions," another counselor said bluntly. "Ancient humans in our histories were known for their aggression." Jack met their gaze steadily. "We have no desire to conquer. This was our home once. We only wish to protect it." "The Drakari fleet grows closer," Mira said. "Their advance forces will reach our outer defenses within days. If you truly wish to help, we need more than words." Before Jack could respond, his communication device beeped urgently. "Excuse me," he said to the council, stepping away. "What is it?" "Commander, you need to see what Director Blake has found." Emma's voice came through, excitement evident. It could change everything. An hour later, Jack stood in Project Phoenix with his senior staff and Talon, who stared in amazement at the technology around them. "Nanite swarms," Olivia explained, pointing to containers filled with what looked like metallic sand. "Billions of microscopic robots that can disassemble and rebuild matter at the molecular level." She moved to another device. "Gravity manipulation. It can create localized gravitational fields or nullify existing ones." She pointed to a third. "And this is perhaps the most important: quantum entanglement communication. Instant messaging across any distance, impossible to intercept." "These were theoretical even in my most advanced science classes," Talon said in awe. "The Drakari have nothing like this. Some of our technology evolved along different lines than yours," Jack explained. "These were our most advanced projects." "Can they be used against the Drakari?" Major Walker asked, always focused on the tactical advantage. "With some adaptation, yes," Olivia confirmed. "But we'll need to work with Valari engineers to interface with modern systems." An alarm suddenly blared throughout the facility. "Commander," Atlas announced, "Drakari forces have breached the outer solar system defense perimeter. A small strike team has changed course and is heading directly toward our location." "How did they find us?" Emma demanded. "Unknown," Atlas replied. "But their trajectory suggests they know exactly where we are." Jack turned to his team. "How many combat-ready soldiers do we have?" "Just over 3,000, Major Walker reported. "Prepare a defensive perimeter. Director Blake, secure this lab. Dr. Wells, move the still sleeping soldiers to the lower levels." Jack turned to Talon. It seems your Drakari friends are eager to meet us. Talon's expression was grim. They're not coming to talk, Commander. Neither were we, Jack replied, his voice hard. Lieutenant Reed, activate Defense Protocol Alpha. Let's show these Drakari what Earth's ancient warriors can do. As the team rushed to prepare, Jack looked at the experimental weapons. Humanity's last resort might become their first strike against a threat from the stars. The 77th Legion was about to enter combat after a 50,000-year sleep. The Drakari strike force never stood a chance. They had expected to find an ancient facility with outdated defenses. Instead, they encountered the full might of Earth's elite warriors. Major Walker watched from the command center as the last Drakari ship crashed into the mountains. All enemy forces neutralized, Commander, he reported. Jack nodded, studying the battle data. Their tactics were predictable. They relied too much on their technology. And they clearly didn't expect us to be awake, Emma added. She had led the ground forces that had ambushed the Drakari landing parties. 2 weeks had passed since the discovery of Project Phoenix. In that time, over 5,000 Legion soldiers had been awakened. Training operations ran day and night as the troops adjusted to their new reality. The Velari are impressed, Talon said, entering the command center. Word of your victory is spread throughout our forces. They're calling you the warriors of old. We need to do more than impress, Jack replied. Show me the latest fleet positions. The main screen displayed the solar system. Red markers showed the approaching Drakari fleet, now just past the orbit of Jupiter. Their main force will reach Earth in 3 days, Talon explained. Our defenses are strong, but not strong enough. Jack finished for him. Which is why we're going to take the fight to them. Jack turned to Major Walker. Is your special operations team ready? Yes, sir. 100 of our best, all equipped with the modified nanite gear. Jack nodded. Good. Lieutenant Reed, prepare the gravity manipulators for space deployment. In the days following the discovery of Project Phoenix, Director Blake had worked tirelessly with Velari engineers to adapt the ancient human technologies for modern use. The results were impressive. Commander, Atlas interrupted. Incoming transmission from the Velari flagship. The screen changed to show High Counselor Mira. Commander Stone, your warriors' victory against the Drakari advance team has given our people hope. But the Drakari main fleet is far more powerful. Which is why we need to coordinate our forces, Jack replied. We have a plan that might give us an edge. We're listening, Mira said cautiously. Jack outlined his strategy. The Velari would engage the Drakari fleet directly, while Major Walker's special operations team would use a cloaked Velari ship to approach the Drakari command vessel. Using the nanite technology, they would disable the ship's systems from within. It's risky, Mira observed. War always is, Jack replied. But the Drakari won't expect it. They've never encountered our combat doctrine or technologies. After the transmission ended, Jack turned to his senior staff. Prepare the troops. I want everyone combat ready in 24 hours. As the command center emptied, a strange signal appeared on one of the monitors. It wasn't Velari or Drakari. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Atlas, what is that? Jack asked. Unknown transmission source, Atlas replied. Signal pattern matches no known configuration. The screen flickered, then cleared to show a figure unlike any Jack had seen before. Its form seemed to shift and change, as if it couldn't decide on a single appearance. Commander Jack Stone, the figure said, its voice oddly melodic. I am the observer, representative of the quorum. Jack stood straighter. The quorum. Talon mentioned you. We have watched your awakening with great interest, the observer said. Your kind were thought lost to time. What do you want? Jack asked directly. To observe, as always, the reemergence of original humanity represents a critical point in our grand experiment. Experiment. Jack's eyes narrowed. This war is an experiment to you. All of history is data to us. The observer replied calmly. But know this, the Drakari fear what they do not understand, and they do not understand you. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving Jack troubled. He had fought many enemies in his time, but never one that considered war a science project. In the armory, Emma supervised as soldiers equipped themselves with both ancient human weapons and modified Velari technology. The combination was unlike anything seen in the galaxy for millennia. The Drakari won't know what hit them, she said with grim satisfaction. The human advantage was clear. They were the unknown factor, the warriors from a forgotten age, using tactics no one had seen for 50,000 years. The battle for Earth, for Terran Prime, was about to begin. The battle raged across Earth's orbit. Velari ships fought bravely against the larger Drakari fleet, their blue energy weapons lighting up the darkness of space. From the Velari flagship, Jack watched with Commander Anna Torres, the Legion's space warfare specialist. Their attack pattern is too organized, Anna observed. They're pushing us toward the moon. Jack nodded. They want to split our forces. He turned to the Velari admiral beside him. Tell your ships to hold position. The admiral hesitated. But the left flank will be exposed. Exactly what they expect, Jack replied. Which is why we won't do it. Over the past week, Jack had distributed his now awakened 7,000 soldiers among the Velari forces. Legion tacticians advised Velari commanders, while combat specialists led strike teams. Their unexpected strategies had kept the Drakari off balance. Major Walker's team has reached the target, Emma reported over the comm. Infiltration in progress. On the massive Drakari command ship, Walker led his special operations team through darkened corridors. Their armor, a mix of Legion technology and Velari stealth systems, rendered them nearly invisible. Plant the devices at key junctions, Walker ordered quietly. Remember, we want to disable, not destroy. The soldiers moved with practiced efficiency, placing small nanite containers at power relays and command nodes. Once activated, the nanites would spread through the ship's systems, taking control without harming the crew. Back on the flagship, Jack received an urgent message from Talon. "Commander, we have a problem," Talon said, his voice tight with anger. "I just intercepted communications between members of our High Council and the Drakari leadership." "What kind of communications?" Jack asked, though he already suspected the answer. "A secret deal. Certain territories to be surrendered in exchange for peace." Talon's large eyes were hard. "Including your facility." Jack's expression darkened. "Who authorized this?" "Councillor Vex and his supporters. They've always feared your return. They believe giving the Drakari what they want is safer than trusting ancient humans with powers we don't understand." "And Mira?" "Unaware. As far as I can tell, she still supports our alliance." Jack turned to Anna. "Continue coordinating the fleet. I need to speak with our people on the ground." In the privacy of a small command room, Jack contacted Dr. Wells at the facility. "How many are still in cryostasis?" he asked. "Just under 3,000, Wells replied. "We've been focusing on awaking combat specialists first. Change of plans. Start waking everyone. Now." "That's dangerous, Jack. The medical protocols." "We don't have time for protocols," Jack interrupted. "We've been betrayed. The Velari leadership is offering our facility to the Drakari." Wells' face paled. "I'll start immediately." As Jack returned to the bridge, another transmission came through, this time on all frequencies. "Attention all combatants," the melodic voice of the observer echoed. "The Quorum acknowledges this conflict has reached its critical phase." The main screen showed the strange shifting figure of the observer. "What do you want now?" Jack demanded. "To reveal truth," the observer replied. "This war is not what it seems. The Drakari were guided to this system. The Velari defenses were manipulated to fail at key moments, all to test a hypothesis. How would the ancient humans respond to extinction-level threats?" "You started this war?" Anna asked in disbelief. We merely encouraged existing tensions. The Quorum has studied evolved humanity for millennia, but original humans remained a mystery until now. Jack's anger flared. People are dying for your curiosity. A regrettable necessity, the observer said without emotion. Your response will determine the future of all human-derived species in this galaxy. As the transmission ended, alarms blared across the flagship. Drakari vessels are breaking through Sector 7. A Valari officer shouted. Walker's team, Jack asked urgently. Still 30 minutes from activation, Emma reported. Jack made a swift decision. He tapped his communication device, activating a special frequency that reached every Legion soldier. All Legion personnel, this is Commander Stone. Initiate Protocol Lazarus. Repeat, Protocol Lazarus is now active. It was their contingency plan for when facing overwhelming odds against an advanced enemy. Created 50,000 years ago, never used, until now. What is Protocol Lazarus? Talon asked, concern evident in his voice. Jack's eyes were cold as steel. Your council wants to betray us. The Quorum wants to study us. The Drakari want to destroy us. He looked out at the battle raging across space. We're about to show them all why that's a mistake. Protocol Lazarus unfolded with precision. Across the battlefield, Legion soldiers activated the experimental technologies from Project Phoenix. The effect was immediate and devastating. Nanite swarms spread through Drakari ships, disabling weapons rather than destroying them. Gravity manipulation devices created safe corridors for civilian evacuation ships while disrupting Drakari targeting systems. On the Valari flagship, Jack turned to a shocked Talon. Contact your High Council. Tell them to stand down and evacuate civilians. We're handling this our way. What exactly is Protocol Lazarus? Anna asked as Talon hurried to follow orders. A strategy for fighting technologically superior enemies, Jack explained. We use their complexity against them. Their advanced ships have more vulnerable systems than our simpler weapons. Throughout the solar system, the tide of battle shifted. The Drakari fleet, moments ago on the verge of victory, now found themselves unable to fire weapons or maintain formation. Major Walker reports success, Emma announced. The Drakari command ship is under our control. Jack nodded. And the quantum entanglement device. Ready, Director Blake confirmed. We can transmit to the Quorum observation vessel whenever you give the order. Jack took a deep breath. Do it. It's time we talk to the puppet masters directly. In a flash of light, Jack, Emma, and Director Blake found themselves transported to a strange, shifting environment. The walls seemed to be made of living metal that pulsed with energy. Before them stood the observer, its form constantly changing between different humanoid appearances. Impressive, the observer said. No species has directly accessed our vessel in over 10,000 years. We're full of surprises, Jack replied coldly. Call off your experiment. End this war. The experiment is concluding naturally, the observer replied. Your response has provided valuable data. Data? Emma asked angrily. People are dying. A regrettable necessity for progress, the observer said. All scientific advancement requires sacrifice. What exactly are you testing? Director Blake asked, her scientific curiosity engaging despite the situation. The observer's form shifted, settling into something almost human. Whether the spark that made humanity special still exists after 50 millennia. And what spark is that? Jack demanded. Your adaptability. Your compassion even toward enemies. Your stubborn refusal to accept defeat. The observer moved closer. We had to know if those traits were genetic or learned, if they could survive 50,000 years of evolution, or 50,000 years of sleep. Why does it matter to you? Jack asked. The observer's form shifted again, this time into something unmistakably human. Because we are you, Commander Stone. The Quorum are humans who left Earth before the Great Collapse. We evolved differently. Jack stared in shock. You're human. We were. Now we are something more. Something that forgot its roots. The observer looked genuinely sad. We became so focused on advancement that we lost what made us human. We needed to remember. Back in space, the battle had completely stopped. The Drakari fleet hung motionless. The Valari ships maintained defensive positions, confused by the sudden ceasefire. Your actions today answered our question, the observer continued. You could have destroyed the Drakari. Instead, you disabled their weapons. You created evacuation corridors for civilians, even those who betrayed you. That humanity, that balance of strength and mercy, is what we lost. The observer raised a hand, and the environment around them shimmered. The war is over. The Drakari will withdraw. The Valari will honor their original alliance with you. Just like that. Emma asked suspiciously. This was always within our power, the observer admitted, but seeing how you would respond was necessary. And now, Jack asked, now humanity can take its place in the galaxy again. All branches of humanity. Original, evolved, and transcended. The observer's form stabilized into a perfect blend of human and something more. Your 10,000 warriors, the last pure humans, will help forge a new future. Not as conquerors, but as teachers. In a flash, they returned to the Valari flagship. On the view screens, the Drakari ships were retreating. Across all channels, news of peace spread. Jack looked at his team, humans from a forgotten age, awakened to a strange new world. They had come prepared for war, but would remain to build peace. Humanity's legacy would not be the weapons they created or the battles they fought, but the wisdom they carried across the ages. The facility that had preserved them for 50,000 years would become a center of learning. The warriors would become teachers, and Earth, Terran Prime, would once again be the home of a united humanity in all its diverse forms.